Okay, answer something for me. Are you the type of person who watches the same movie every fall or every winter? Or are you the person that's just like, no, I watched it once, never going back, not watching it again? Why would I watch something old when there are so many streaming services where I can watch something new? Well, I was recently talking to a friend about watching old movies and TV shows and how I get so much out of rewatching old movies time and time again. I remember talking to my friend about rewatching Hamilton on Disney Plus, and just rewatching that opening number, I realized the double meaning behind that line. We fought with him. I died for him. Like, if you're a Hamilton person, you know that song. And so the first time that I rewatched it for the first time, and I was like looking at Daveed Diggs, and I was like, ooh, like that line has a double meaning because in Act One, he's playing Lafayette. He fought alongside Hamilton. But Act Two, he's playing Thomas Jefferson, who fought against Hamilton. Like that's a double meaning there. And when I first like watched and I saw Hamilton the musical, the first time I saw it, I was just like, okay, yeah, like it's a nice little beat to it. It kind of sets it up, setting the stage. But it's not until I go back through and I watch it the second time that I'm just like, ooh, like that's something like that's a detail that I never would have picked up that first time watching it, which is like, ugh, why I love rewatching movies. Now, I promise you, this podcast episode today, it is not just me nerding out about movies and TV shows. Actually, no, that's lies. That is lies. I am going to nerd out a bit, but I promise that there is a point to this. So just follow me for a bit. Stick with me. I promise there's a point. So whenever someone says, oh, I'm not a rewatch person, I don't like going back and watching old movies or TV shows, the first thing I do is like, so you say that you never went back and watched The Sixth Sense or Fight Club? And I say that because we all went into watching those movies thinking we were 100% clear on what was happening and what was going on. And it wasn't until that very end that we realized, ooh, I missed something. And so, spoiler alert for this 25-year-old movie, but Bruce Willis was dead the entire time in Sixth Sense, and Brad Pitt's character was a figment of Edward Norton's imagination. Like, we didn't see that coming at all. So when you go back and you watch that movie, when you go back and you watch Sixth Sense, when you go back and you watch Fight Club again, you are looking for all of those times that you just completely missed all the signs and all the clues. And when you go back and you look for it, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's so obvious. Oh, that is why that character did that. Oh, it makes so much sense now why they did that. And I mean, you really get so much more appreciation out of it that second time around. Almost, it's like it's a new movie because you're seeing it from this completely different light. And not only that, now you know what to look out for. And so every time I see someone talking about like, I'm not into like rewatching movies, I always point that out. But again, not every movie is going to be like Fight Club or Sixth Sense where there's a plot twist. But there are other movies where I'm just like, oh, but they always have like these blinking you miss it moments, you know, like little Easter eggs. Like, I don't know if you're a Pixar fan, if you like Pixar movies, you know that there are always going to be a few things that pop up in every single one of those movies. Somewhere in a Pixar movie, A113 is going to show up in there. It's going to show up as a license plate, a serial number, or something. It is going to show up. Now, if you don't know what A113 means, it's actually a classroom at Cal Arts where a lot of animators, they studied at. And so they like to put that in there as like a homage to it. So like you're always going to look out for those things. And another thing, you can usually see a Pixar character from one movie in the background of another movie. Like in Monsters, Inc., you can actually see Nemo as one of the toys that Boo, the little girl in Monsters, Inc., plays with. Or Pizza Planet, like that pizza place that is featured in Toy Story. There's always going to be a pizza box or a Pizza Planet truck or something in some of the other movies. Like I remember in WALL-E, there was like old Pizza Planet trucks, or there was another movie where it's just like in the background, and you're like always gonna see that. You're always gonna see those little Easter egg things. And what's so fun for me about this is that I have something fun to look for as I'm watching the movie. I know that it's going to be there, so my eyes are just trained for it. My friends are always surprised when I pick out on these details, but it's because I know, like I'm so ready to be on the lookout. And rewatching, I can pick up on even more of these things that I might have missed. Like wall carvings in Brave or fun references in Cars. And of course, there are some people who are still not convinced that they should rewatch movies, but I usually hit them up with but you'll appreciate it so much more now. And really, it's the nostalgia factor of movies that you have not watched since childhood. Like, let's take Shrek 2, for instance. That movie came out back in 2004. You were a child or a teenager at that time. At the time, you probably missed that there was an O.J. Simpson police chase joke in this children's movie. If you don't remember it, Shrek was running away from the cops on a white horse. That white horse happened to be a Bronco. Or what about when you rewatch Aladdin? Like Robin Williams, like he was going at it in that movie. Like he just went going, joke for joke for joke. You were not picking up on those Robin Williams jokes when you were a child. But as you got older, you picked up on that white Bronco joke. You picked up on those Aladdin jokes that were just like, oh, that's a little bit more mature. Your ears weren't trained for it. And you have this deeper appreciation for this movie that you wouldn't have gotten as a child. So I promise that I wasn't just nerding out on TV and movies. This experience is honestly exactly what happens when you rewatch your sales calls. I got you. So here's how it all links together. See, like with Fight Club or The Sixth Sense, when you watch your sales calls again, you see things that are so obvious now that you know that the plot twist, aka the results of the sales call. Now that you know that you didn't land the sales call, you can go back and see all the clues that the call wasn't going to go the way that you wanted. Or now that you know that you closed the call, you can see exactly at what point they went from a maybe to a, oh yes, I'm all in, I'm buying. But that's something that you can actually only do fully after you know how it ends and after you go back and re-watch it. Or let's take the Easter eggs, for example. Like when you know to look for the 8th 113 or the Pizza Planet truck, you keep your eyes open for those signs. Same goes for when you re-watch your sales calls or even when you're in your sales calls. You know exactly to look for signs of interest, smiles or nods or any things that you pick up on that are just like, ooh, these are telltale signs that this call is going to go well. These are telltale signs this call is not going to go well. And only after you go back and start to rewatch your videos do you tend to see like, ooh, here are some signs that usually come up for me in my calls. So then you can be on the lookout for future ones. Those are the things that you can only pick up on after you rewatch. And of course, like how you see movies from your childhood with a more mature perspective, looking at older calls from a year ago or 2 years ago can give you a new perspective too. When you were just starting your business, there was so much you weren't sure of, so much you still needed to learn. Even a call from 6 months ago, you're in a new phase and stage and state of mind right now. The things you wouldn't have noticed right away after the call would be different from what you notice a week later or 6 months later or 2 years later. Time and gaps and perspectives and going back and revisiting those things, they can reveal so much. Which is why not just for movies, but even with sales calls, I believe that it is so important to look back on them. Even for old calls from older offers that you may or may not be offering anymore, you're going to pick up on something that you didn't even realize you needed to hear. And all those things that you pick up on with the new perspective, from the Easter eggs, from the knowing the ending and how it worked out, you can use all of that in your marketing to address the concerns that people have better. And it can be used to highlight the features that people didn't even realize that you offered. But you wouldn't have known to do any of this if you didn't go back and look at your calls. So maybe now you're considering like, oh, yeah, she's making a point. She's making a good point. Maybe I should go back and watch their calls. But now you're thinking, but I'm not exactly sure what the Easter eggs are, those little mystery clues, or even what I would do with them once I have it. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do when you work with me one-on-one. You're going to do this rewatching not just to kill an afternoon. You're going to do this so that you can be more aware of what to look for and what to say to sign your next client. You'll learn what to look for, how to use that information that you got to create content that brings in more people. And as a result, you'll actually learn how to close your sales calls better. All because you are a rewatcher. Go to the show notes and there you're going to find a link to work with me one-on-one and become the master of picking up on those little details so that you can create converting content. All right, until next time, I'll talk to you soon.
If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.